Well, this is exactly the type of opportunity and platform that Jackson Osagie has probably been hoping for, dreaming of, and looking at. And now he has it as a relatively late replacement for Lewis Rose, who was supposed to be in the other corner. And it's Osagie who's answered the call. He's got a loose, relaxed style as well in the ring. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do tonight now that he's got the platform.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome his opponent to the ring, Nicolie Campbell.
Making his way to the ring is Nicolie Campbell, the 32-year-old who's been boxing for quite some time. Now, this is just the 14th fight in a career that started nearly a decade or so ago. He's always in immaculate condition, always been a believer in strength and conditioning. And the experience of that Central Area title fight from the autumn of last year, maybe that's going to be the springboard for him now to really kick on with his career. He lost out on that one, though. He had to overcome some physical adversity throughout, and another opportunity now knocks. He brings the experience to the table. Andy, you got to speak to him in the last month or so as well. He talks a good game. He always looks the part. What are you expecting tonight?
I'm expecting a really good fight, actually, because Campbell, as you say, boxed for that area super middleweight title, perforated an eardrum in the first round, and that's a big thing to happen because it takes your balance away. It's very disorientating if it's never happened to you before. So after that really changed everything. But Osagie, I saw in the box-up last September against Robbie Chapman, a draw over 4 rounds, brilliant fight. Osagie can really fight and still has plenty of ambition. So this could be anything. This could be great.
The same Chapman who Campbell beat some 4 years ago over 6. You can see they're both 32-year-olds. Slight height advantage for Osagie. They both look in mustard condition as well. There's a 4-inch reach advantage for Campbell coming into this one. It's finely poised.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout scheduled for 6 3-minute rounds in the super middleweight division. This bout is brought to you by Johnny Clark of Top Tier Boxing and their proud sponsors by Insulations, Synergy Direct, and Think Green Partners. This bout is sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control, your timekeeper at the bell, Stephen Pucci, and your third man in the ring in charge of the action, A-star referee, Mark Bates. And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing to you first, fighting out of the red corner. He's wearing the white with black trim. His official weight of 12 stones, bang on. He has a record of 5 fights, 1 loss, 2 draws, and 2 wins. Hailing from Birmingham, England, United Kingdom, Jackson Osagie! His opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He's wearing the black with purple trim. His official weight of 12 stones, bang on. He has a record of 13 fights, 2 losses, 11 wins, and 2 of those wins come in by way of knockout. Hailing from Sheffield, England, United Kingdom, Nicolie Campbell!
Step back and get your punches up. They make them act to protect themselves at all times.
Seconds out, round 1.
Here we go then. Scheduled for 6, this one. And looking forward to seeing if Jackson Osagie can rise to the occasion now he's been granted the opportunity, or whether the experience and relative pedigree of Nicolie Campbell is going to be the difference, and how much the experience of that area title fight last time up is going to be a motivation, Andy, for Campbell tonight.
I know he feels that he definitely belongs at that kind of level. Like all fighters, he feels like he belongs at a level above that, but although he did lose, and he lost wide against Reece Farnhill because of that injury early in the fight, he does feel like he proved something to himself, that he could cope with that kind of adversity, dig in and have to fight the kind of fight he would never normally fight, which is up close and rugged and personal, because to keep his balance all he could really do was go to the ropes. But Osagie is a tough fighter. He's got that wide stance, and he will look to let something heavy go every time he gets the opportunity. It was a great fight against Chapman, and a really good night actually, because what that night did was give chances to fighters who either struggled to get them because they're good but can't sell tickets, which is a bad position to be in, isn't it? Or to away corner fighters. Chapman's an away corner fighter, and those two really gave it to each other right from the first bell.
And this is an opportunity for Osagie. He's a natural counter-puncher, essentially. You know, he is trying to tease a few opportunities on the front foot here. Very relaxed, confident in his own style. An interesting kind of development in the play, isn't there, tactically? They both come out with intentions to get on the front foot. It looked like Campbell was going to do that through the spearing southpaw jab to the body early on. Nearly landed a counter shot there, and now it's Osagie who's trying to get just maybe get a bit of momentum on the front foot.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because if you look at the canvas, if you look at their feet, they're right on top of each other, because they're treading on the top of each other's lead foot, which is normal for a southpaw against an orthodox fighter. So that gives you the impression that they're well within punching range, but then when you switch up and look at their upper body, they're not really, because they've both got that wide split stance. So they'll feel like they're within range of each other, but actually they're just pulling their weight onto the back foot, and neither one's really landing, are they?
Nice little slip and slide, courtesy of athletic front foot movement there from Campbell, and he managed to dart to one side and then land a straight left hand. That was clever stuff at the end of the first round. Lots of thought and process going into it. Battle of minds and wills, wasn't it?
It was. I think this one will definitely warm up. He's not been boxing for that long, Osagie. Started boxing 4 years ago, did a bit of amateur, a bit of white collar, from Nigeria, in Birmingham now. An itinerant existence, which for Nigerians is quite common. He went from Nigeria to Italy 17, 18 years ago, then from Italy to the UK in 2014, but didn't start boxing until relatively recently. And as you mentioned, Campbell's been out this actually really quite a long time, so he hasn't been very active. Boxes out of Sheffield, but moves down here usually for the last few weeks of camp for any fight, because his uncle's got a gym down in Kent somewhere, I think.
Yeah, that's the Gravesham Amateur Boys Club. That's the gym that's produced Chev Clark, isn't it, in recent years as well? So that'll have been a buzz for everyone down there, and Chev Clark being an inspiration, of course, as a good amateur who's went in with some of the best in plenty of those international competitions, and of course now winning titles early on in his professional career as well. So he'll be an inspiration to many, and Campbell wouldn't mind joining that queue.
He's got that right hand cocked and ready to go, yeah. Osagie, at all times, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's almost a sort of early 20th century lean back style that is just begging you to lead off. But you know, in doing that, you've got to be accurate, you've got to get your feet and timing absolutely perfect, because you know what's coming back, as Andy said.
There goes that right hand. What's interesting about that kind of setup is that his weight really is on his back foot. And when you do look to lead off, like you say, he'll pull his weight onto that back foot, further onto that back foot, and look to launch that right hand. But if you can make him pull his weight onto his back foot and then go at him again, he's stuck, isn't he? There's nowhere for him to go.
Yeah, he can only go straight backwards. Exactly right. So as much as it can be an advantage, the chances are, particularly as you go up in level, it can be a massive handicap. But it looks like there's lots of power from this Osagie. He looks quite heavy-handed. He missed with a few wild shots, just a few parts back. But you do fancy this power there. He just missed with the hook. He tried a little short right hand there as well, but he's giving it a lash in this round. Just little warning signs that Campbell needs to be absolutely switched on.
The problem he's got too, Osagie, is against a southpaw, that right hand's got to travel a really long way to land, hasn't it? That's good from Campbell. Took his feet in, left into the body. Nothing flashy about it, but it's a solid scoring shot.
Yeah, and a couple of times he's done that. When he gets his footwork right, he just kind of slides across, foot on the outside, and opens up the space for him to land that left hand. So technically, some good stuff. We saw it at the end of the first, and maybe heads just came together there. But the style, the strength and the intimidation of Osagie just presenting a couple of problems for Campbell. I think Osagie's the kind of guy who'd be easy to unsettle opponents.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think there probably is something quite unnerving about somebody who is so obviously looking to do one thing that you maybe start to wonder whether it's a double bluff, and it isn't. That really is what he's looking to do.
Yeah, and sometimes an unconventional approach can be really difficult to counter. I remember playing football. We had one team who were just a nemesis, because they'd all go forward and so they wouldn't defend properly. But that meant if an attack broke down, suddenly they'd have 5, 6, 7, 8 players in an attacking position. They were an absolute nightmare to play against.
But they committed to it. They committed to their approach unashamedly, and that's kind of what he does. You see him just hanging on that back foot with that right hand cocked and ready to go, and you look at it and you feel like it's far too obvious, that surely, isn't it? Far too obvious, but that's what he's wanting you to do, is just come in, make you fall short, and then just let it go like a harpoon straight down the middle.
Looking to lead off with that right hand now as well. Swiping it like a dumbbell on a rope there a couple of times.
Front feet just clashing there. But that's good from Campbell, because he took his feet in, he jabbed his way in, Osagie pulled his weight onto that back foot, and he just kept coming, moved in behind the jab, scored with the left hand to the body, got back out, and that's not a particularly eye-catching way to win a fight, but he can win the fight doing that, can't he? Because, as we said, with those two phases, if you like, or moving in behind the double jab, he'll put Osagie in a position where he's definitely going to be able to hit him.
Yes, and it's worth noting that this one's scheduled for 6. Here we are on the 3rd. Osagie's never been beyond 4, and the way he's been sort of swiping wildly, putting a lot of effort into some of those shots, missing quite wildly and extravagantly on a couple of occasions. I think it's important for Campbell just to stay switched on here, to be professional, maybe in some respects to bide his time. But these rounds are swinging by and not easy to score.
No, but I would probably give the edge to Campbell in all of them, I reckon. A nice bit of work from him about 30 seconds ago. Again, just took his feet in, landed the left hand from up close. Too close, really, for Osagie to have any room to do anything with that. right hand, and you've got to really trust that power, haven't you? Particularly in this shorter duration, because you haven't got all that long to set something up, and he is really relying on landing it and doing some proper damage.
Yeah, he's got to be so careful how he commits, I think, and you can see that sort of thought and wariness in his work. But some clever stuff through the last minute from Campbell. I don't know if that's his own face on his socks or whether it's a fallen friend, but he does have a face imprinted on those white socks. Mind you, I used to shout "come on me" on a night out, so I probably can't really complain. But maybe just a little element of control last 30 seconds from Campbell.
I think so. As discussed, Osagie, he makes you wary.
Yeah, it's not an easy night's work. Maybe as the rounds go by and he tires, the night's work will get a little easier for Nicolie Campbell, but we shall see. I think the important thing for Campbell, Andy, is he's not got frustrated, and it could easily have become difficult and frustrating tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I think what you have to do against an opponent like Osagie, and I think this is true of just boxing generally, you've just got to completely commit to what it is that you're doing. So if you're going to move in behind that double jab, move in behind that double jab and really throw that straight left hand into the body or head, whichever area it manages to land on. If you're going to get close, really get close. The head's just clashing on the inside, I think, there.
Yeah, Campbell winced after that exchange. It looked like they came together. He's trying to win that front foot battle. There's a double jab right at the start of the round. Some of those wild swipes are landing on the gloves. They're not landing as scoring shots from Osagie, who is talking to Campbell.
I think he's slightly frustrated. Ideally, what Osagie wants you to do is stand and trade. He's that kind of fighter, but if you've got half a brain, you're not going to do that against him, and Campbell's not doing that, and Osagie just showing some signs of frustration for exactly that reason.
Yeah, and I tell you what's really noticeable in this round is Campbell's making a real concerted effort to get his lead foot, which is his right foot. He's almost moving it sideways at times to make sure he is outside of the front foot of Osagie, and that's just giving him the little bit of control that he might need.
That's good from Campbell, just dipping his knees and swooping underneath that right hand. Osagie has quite simply got to do more, hasn't he? Because we're into round 4 here. I don't think he's won a round yet. He's landed some leather, but I don't think he's done enough to win a round because he's just not busy enough, is he?
No. And you fancy maybe just tiring a little bit, and the jab and that front foot control is really working for Campbell now. You can almost see him angling his body himself. You can hear the strength and power from Osagie, that's for sure. That big right hook landing completely on the glove. So again, not a scoring shot, but it'll have caught the eyes of Campbell and certainly the attention and ears of the punters here tonight.
He definitely has that power, and it doesn't seem to really matter how he throws it, whether he throws it up from his bootlaces or whether he bowls it in with this big long hook or whether he throws it a little bit straighter. But there's a decent jab from Campbell, and there's not all that much that Osagie can do about that, to be perfectly honest.
And whether it was the corner, whether he's just switched onto it himself, but the more that Campbell can move to his right and to Osagie's left, then it takes him further and further away from the danger of the right hand, Andy. So it's kind of worked. There's been a technical adjustment, maybe slightly helped by Osagie tiring and some of the steam running out a little bit. He's complaining to the referee. I'm not sure about what, whether it's the glove.
I think they're just generally quite frustrated because basically, as we said, Osagie's the kind of fighter where he wants you to stand and have a fight with him. That's what he wants. And he doesn't appreciate it if you won't cooperate. And basically, Campbell has no intention of cooperating with that, none whatsoever. And quite rightly.
Corners, 10 seconds. Seconds out. Round 5.
Here we go then, into round 5. Uncharted territory for Jackson Osagie. I thought he was complaining at the end of that round, but actually it was the referee just telling him to make sure he punched with the correct part of the glove. He suggesting he was kind of flicking out with the edge of the glove rather than the knuckle part. So that's what that little exchange was about towards the end of the round. Here's a bit of pressure, bit of muscle and energy again from Osagie into Andy uncharted territory in terms of the rounds for him.
It is, and he just let fly with a big left hook there, and he's going to have to use that because, as you say, if he circles off to his right-hand side here, Campbell, then it takes that right hand out of the equation, and he's going to need to try and land that left hand or lead off with that left hand, but he's just knocked down by that one.
Yeah, speaking of left hands, well, there was a left hook, stuttered backwards, lost his footing. There was at least a little bit of a stutter when he got to his feet as well. And the first breakthrough, the first big moment of the fight. And it's come early in the 5th round. We've got just under 2 minutes to go.
It's just a sweet punch, wasn't it? There wasn't loads on it, but as we've mentioned, his weight is very heavily on that back foot. He was backed up onto the back foot. The left hand landed with enough force to just take him. We talk about people coming over the top of their front foot. He went over the back of his back foot, didn't he, and touched down. And
it's exactly what Andy was speaking about earlier on, the fact that he does lean so heavily backwards, leaning back from the waist as well. There's nowhere really to go. He can dart off sideways, left or right. He does go back in straight lines, and if you can time that, I'll get the tactics and the technique right, then there will be an opportunity for him. An opportunity knocked there for Nicolie Campbell in the 5th round. Can he ram it home?
He doesn't want to get carried away here though, because everything's going nicely for him. He just moved in behind another double jab there, got him close, dips his hand underneath Osagie's shoulder, throws that left hand in, connected, half connected around about the chest, but it's kind of a shot to nothing really if he moves in behind that double jab and throws that left hand, because by the time he's thrown it, he's right on Osagie's shoulder and there's not much he can do about it.
Yeah, and he's trying to show different looks to Osagie and a bit of movement, but actually for the first time in a while he's moving back towards the right hand, which probably isn't a wise decision. A couple of wild swipes there from Osagie over in that far corner a moment ago, and it does look like the threat and the danger presented by that left hook knockdown has just dissipated into the air. Ha! Commentator's curse. There goes a big left hand. Looked like it was just on the inside of the glove, which might just have deflected the power, but that was a good shot and a nice opening created by Campbell, who had a big round.
He did. That was a really good round. And he's got better and better as the fight's gone on, hasn't he? And there's that left hand where exactly he's pulled that weight onto the back foot, and then his balance goes. The punch is heavy enough to take his balance away, and he can't move that right foot out from underneath him, essentially is what happened, wasn't it? So it wasn't a heavy knockdown, but it's a smart piece of boxing.
Yeah, and it all came from a bit of movement. where he just slid again across to his right. It just opened up everything for him.
Seconds out, 6 and final round.
Round 6 then. And of course, Nicolie Campbell has already been 10, so he's got that experience and rationing out the energy, dealing with all of that. As the feet just getting a bit close together and tangling at the start of this 6th round. But Campbell's been switched on, hasn't he? You see it in his eyes all night. He's been really sharp mentally, and I think he needed to be. Could have got a bit uncomfortable unnecessarily.
He has been. And he's grown in confidence as the fight has gone on as well. He had a method coming into it, definitely, but he was feeling his way with it a little bit in the first couple of rounds, and there's nothing really wrong with that. But like I said, against someone like Osagie, you really have to commit, because what he absolutely wants is for you to be slightly uncertain, find yourself in the wrong place, and then he can let that right hand go. Just being told off by the referee about use of the forearm there, I think, but Campbell is boxed clever here. He's done a good job.
Yeah, and if I was in his corner, I would ban him from moving left this entire round. The big
just
opening,
do that, basically.
Yeah,
just jab and step off to your right-hand side.
Slide across, absolutely. That's how he created the knockdown, and it keeps him out of harm's way from the right hand. I would just say repeat, rinse, repeat. Oh, he caught him there. Now, he was looking down at the tangling of the feet, and he just got distracted there momentarily, and Osagie, fair play, was sharp onto it.
He just has to let his hands go here, Osagie, but again, he gets caught by the left hand there.
Yeah, and I think that one just on the inside of the glove again, so it didn't connect properly, didn't maybe do the damage that it could have done.
And then he led off with a right hook, which we haven't really seen him do, Campbell. Gets up on his toes there as Osagie looked to launch an attack. Just over 45 seconds to go. Yeah,
inside the final minute, I don't think now's the time for any histrionics or anything outrageous. Nice sharp straight left. He almost speared it from a downward position up towards the rafters and the lights there, Campbell. So some really eye-catching stuff from him in the last couple of rounds.
And stylistically, you can see why what happened in that area title fight in every single way was just such an alien experience for him. He walks onto a right hand there because the eardrum problem meant that he went to the ropes, which is just not something he would ever normally do.
But there's a reminder of what he's been looking for all night, Osagie. Big right hand, and that's the best shot of the night for Osagie. He just wasn't allowed to land it until very, very late on. But a little final reminder for Campbell to be switched on at all times, and finally a respect from both men, and Campbell did what he had to do. They just had a bit of mastery over Osagie as that fight developed.
He did. He knew that he couldn't afford to get into some kind of firefight with him, that would be unwise, so he didn't do that, but he landed plenty of good clean shots. It wasn't just some kind of a spoiling performance, it was an intelligent display, and that's another good strong left hand there that he landed in that final round, and it wouldn't have needed too much more on that one, and we might have seen Osagie lose balance and touch down again, because he did score a knockdown too, although just there was where he caught with that right, but he was moving off it himself, so kind of took the sting out of it. It's a good performance though. As you said, it could only really go wrong in that final round if he suddenly just lost his mind and decided to stand in the middle of the ring and swing, but you do sometimes see people do that.
We've seen dafter things, Andy, you and I, down the years ringside, haven't we? But ultimately he's really switched on, clocked on, professional, and I think technically and tactically he kind of worked things out as that one progressed, which is exactly what you want to see. Referee had to had to be switched on with Osagie a couple of times himself. I think they're still in debate about one or two of those calls, but ultimately, let's get confirmation of it now with Huss.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 rounds of boxing, we go to the referee's scorecard. Referee Mark Bates scores the bout 58-55, and your winner, Nicolie Campbell.
3 points in it in the end, but the right winner, Nicolie Campbell, it is, and all smiles at the end of it. It's an uncomfortable night. You probably have a few welts and bruises as the heads got close a couple of times. Nearly embarrassed by a right hand at the end, but ultimately it was kind of mental pressure, and he just had to stay switched on, which he was able to do.
Exactly, 58-55, so with the knockdown, that's 4 rounds to 2 for Campbell. So you'd imagine that final round probably went Osagie's way, and the referees found one other for him in there, which I wouldn't argue with strenuously. I thought that Campbell, I probably gave him the first 5 and maybe gave Osagie that last one. He's still kind of having a bit of a grumble Jackson, isn't he, on his way out of the ring, because he just felt like Campbell should have wanted to fight a bit more. But this is boxing. It's not just fighting, is it? It's boxing.
Absolutely right. And we've got more. So another young prospect coming up, another Nigerian based over here, Tosin Kajawa, who's coming up next. But before then, let's hear from Ali.
Nicolie, great performance, back to winning ways. Just sum up how you feel.
A little bit disappointed with that performance, to be honest. I really expected to get him out of there because I've been putting in the work in the gym with Jason down at Gravesend boxing club, and with my trainer Liam Walsh as well. You know what I mean? I've put a lot into this camp. I've been really dedicated. Like, I've left no stones unturned, so I expected to get him out of there. So I'm just a little bit disappointed with the performance, but I'm just happy to get the win in general. And I want to say massive shout out to my family that's been supportive to me throughout this camp. You know what I mean? Jess, Veronica, Monica, Remy, like, it's been unbelievable. Like, I just can't thank them enough for sticking by me through a hard camp.
Now, you did get the knockdown in the 5th round. Yeah. Did you think at that stage maybe you could continue it and get it stopped then? Yeah.
When I knocked him down, I wanted to get him out of there, but I didn't want to rush it at the same time because I know that obviously I could get caught with silly shots just like I did then. Like, but I'm built like a lion. I told him that he's gonna have to kill me if he's trying to get me out of there, because that's never happening.
What was said just before the announcement of the scores?
No, when he announced the scores, he said, I said, yo, you definitely didn't believe you won that fight, did you? He said, yeah, apart from the knockdown, I thought I beat you. I thought, yo, you're deluded, bro. Like, you know what I mean? You're deluded. You definitely didn't win that fight. I'm as pretty as a girl. He didn't touch me. He said, apart from the one shot right there. But credit to him, he's a good fighter, you know what I mean? I like him. Funny guy. I mean, I say, bloody hell. Talk about Johnny booking the same hotel as the guy. Imagine that for a promoter.
Well, now you're back to winning ways. What is next? Are you wanting to go straight back into title level?
Straight back in the deep end. You know, I don't want to tiptoe around my career. Like, Lee knows this, Johnny knows this, Abdul knows this. You know what I mean? Like, I've told him, listen, I don't even mind going out of the country, like I told you last time. Like, I just want the biggest fights, biggest and best fights for myself. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be able to test yourself in this sport, and I want to be able to, when people mention my name, they think, yo, you know, that guy, he can fight, to be honest. Like, he's not just a pretty face.
Well, great to have you on the show. Yeah. Back to winning ways. Well,
yeah, I'm actually grateful to be on this show. You know what I mean? It's my first time actually being down here. Not only performing on the show, this is the first time I've actually been to Essex and been to one of these shows. It's like, to me, you can't believe it's a small hall show. You know what I mean? I mean, I really hope he gets TV funding. You know what I mean? Because the credit to him, it deserves it. It's like, to be honest, it's one of the best shows he's been at. You know what I mean? When you look around, like, he pays attention to fine detail. You know what I mean? I'm a great admirer of Johnny. I don't want to take up your time. Someone else might use to fight. Sorry.
Well done. Back to winning ways.
Yeah, much appreciated. Thank you very much.